Hello, this is Fuzzy Devilly, as you know. My name is Roselle. You can call me that. IDB Fuzzy. I'm known by a few aliases, but you can just call me that guy from YouTube. I wanted to talk to you today about my testimony. There's a lot that I wish to talk about regarding uh, God in general. I have been using my platform to just share some of my stories because I want other people to learn from me. I am not doing it because I wish to have pity. I just want people to learn from my experience. So, if you are familiar with my channel, then you would know that I'm very devoted to a game that I play very often called Identity V. If you're new, hello. You would probably do better off calling me by my first name, Roselle, rather than Fuzzy Doubly. So, Identity V is a game that's been around for years, like 7 years, going on a decade soon. I picked it up when I was a teenager in high school because it's very fun, but also addicting. It encourages me to return all the time, every day, but I did enjoy my time. The only thing wrong with that is that my purpose came from Identity V. My happiness came from Identity V because it became my world. I played it every day, every day. And I loved it. I was able to turn it into something good because I realized I have a passion for video editing. So I started making videos on this very channel, and I use Identity V as my platform, or rather my conduit to create stuff. And for years I've been doing that, and it's been amazing. But I've had to detach from it because Identity V became my whole world, and that's a form of idolatry. Idols are normalized today because we have pop stars, movie actors, like many famous people that we look up to, and they look virtuous on the outside because they have something uh just on the outside that we can see, like they have beautiful hair, or they have strong muscles, or they just have a talent for their craft. But I learned from Jesus that man sees with the eyes and God sees within the heart. So it's very common for people to put their faith in these people who are famous, and then a scandal comes out, like a man who's giving roofies to a woman, or like someone turns out to be a pedophile, and it's because we don't look at their hearts, we look at the surface level, and then we put our trust in people who can't be trusted, and that's what idolatry does. So that's why I decided to follow God, and I realized that I was bound like chains. Began to realize that I was pretty much a slave to my body when I saw this image one time. It was for a school project. I had to get some visuals and define words, and one of the words was suppression. And I looked up an image for reference as suppression, and I just saw this hand that was covered by another hand, and I just really felt that heavily at my heart. Like I felt like I was in that situation, and it was because I was a slave to sin, my own body. To put it simply, uh, sin is something that feels good in the moment, at the immediate moment. It's instant gratification, but ultimately it leads to death because it's doing something harmful. Like for me, what I've struggled with, and I'm sure many other young men have struggled with, is lust as a sin. Lust isn't inherently wrong. It's like drinking. You can have a bottle and be fine as long as you're consuming it responsibly. It's only when you don't have a sober mind and you let that thing, that possession control you, and then you don't have the self control to use it in moderation. And because of the internet, there's just so much access to adult content, and there's infinite adult content being produced every day. So I would spend years consuming it. It was so bad because it started at a super young age because someone else in my family was watching it, and I stumbled upon it at 12 years old. And then ever since, like, I almost haven't missed a day, like, accessing that adult content. And I was a slave to lust. But it was only through God that I was able to gather the strength to leave it, because it's not even my own strength. I rely on a higher power that's infinite. So I learned self control, and I'm able to consume sugar, as an example, like candy, responsibly. I don't consume adult content at all, because in no context is it good. Identity V was another thing that I was consuming lots of. Uh, as a reminder, Identity V is a mobile game that encourages you to play all the time, and I played that all the time when I was a teenager. I love that game. I still love that game. It's a really good game, and I don't play it so much. I just watch other people play it because I don't have to invest the time to play it. And that's let me define idolatry even more. To put it simply, idolatry is just something you worship, and you can tell if you worship something by looking at your list of priorities. For example, sometimes I would be in the middle of a match on my phone, like playing a video game, and then someone would be like, Rizal, hey, I need you to come over here. And I'm like, I'll do it later. I gotta finish this match first. That's how I know that I worship the game over, like, my family who is asking me to do something. Even if it's something small, like, can you go reach the high shelf for me? That's still worship, because if I'm putting the video game over the needs of other people, I worship the video game. It's hard to believe that, because I wasn't literally building a shrine for Identity. I wasn't bowing down to it, but I was putting it at the highest part of my priority, and that is what worship is. And once I put God at the top of my priority, everything else in my life just fell into place, and I didn't have to worry about anything. So that's been my struggles, my testimony. Um, right. How did I find God? I was reached out to by my aunt, and I'm staying at her place right now. She's given me a lot of stuff because she's a godly woman, and she turned me into a godly man. And I was able to find Jesus because she showed me the way, and Jesus showed me the way to life. So instead of being a slave to sin, I'm free. I thought I was free because I was free to do whatever I want, kinda, but really I was in a prison of my own body, of my flesh. Flesh meaning not just the physical body, but specifically my sinful nature, because it's so easy to just want to do things that feel good, even if it's bad for me. And I would get into a habit of doing those bad things. And that isn't freedom to me. It looked like freedom, but it really wasn't, because I didn't have control over my own body. So now I just make videos for fun, and I'm not bound to the game. I'm actually free now. When I was trapped, I didn't know I was trapped, which is why it's so important for other people to reach out. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. So, if this video has inspired you to find God after hearing how I became free, if this video inspires you to find God, God is seeking you out every day. And it's up to you to seek Him as well. And if you seek Him out, you'll set everything into place for you. It comes from faith, and the stronger your faith for God is, the more He's able to act within your life. It required me giving up a lot. Like my computer, I loved my computer, but God had to take that away from me because I refused to stop using it to a point where it would interfere with my faith. And now it doesn't work anymore, but I still have components to make a new computer. I just can't assemble it right now. But at the time, I thought I couldn't live without my computer. But now I realize it had to go for me to move on, to keep walking on my path that God intended for me. I just keep looking at it because I'm like, oh man, I remember how many hours I would put into gaming on that thing. But that was just another trap. The only difference is I was more apparent to it. I was more aware of it, which means I had no excuse for falling for it. God does demand sacrifice because he wants to be put first, but that's the only way he can make changes. If I know of God but I don't put him first and I just stay where I am, but if I let God change my life, then it changes for the better. I might lose things that I care about, but ultimately it will lead to a fulfilling life. But just playing a game repeatedly over and over again for the immediate fun, the moment I stop playing, I'm I'm not having fun and I'm not fulfilled. But the things God has done for me has given me long-term fulfillment that doesn't last for a fleeting moment. So for that reason, I'm just happy and I find it easy to smile and continue on. And I look forward to going to college pretty soon and really starting my life. My biggest concern that a lot of teenagers have is like what are they gonna do when they go into the adult life, because you get so accustomed to living with your parents and you don't aspire for anything, and then those anxieties take over your life and then you become paralyzed and don't do anything, and that's what happened to me, which is why I would worry so much until I met God. I've always heard that there's no life book or guide to parenting. I would hear that from other adults, but there really is. It's right here, the Bible. It's just that not everyone wants to read it because it takes effort, and sinning takes no effort, which is why some of my friends have become so comfortable living a life of sin and bathing in it, even though they know it's wrong and they know they feel terrible and unfulfilled, but it's so familiar and it's so easy to just live in sin than it is to change your life for the better, to a point where uh, I have peers who aren't going anywhere for that reason, and I can't really help them. All I can do is pray for them. So I read this every day, at least one chapter. I try to read two. I read four yesterday, and I learned so much. There's so much wisdom in there. There's a lot of resources online. We live in a period of time where it's so easy to access the Bible if you have internet access. I like to use the YouVersion app, and it gives you the verse of the day. It just takes one or two verses for you to read, so you can start somewhere. It's this seems like quite the task to start reading the Bible because it's such a long book. It's like trying to read One Piece in 2025. It's got 1,000 episodes, but just start. That's why I always tell my friend, uh, like anyone who ever is paralyzed and doesn't want to start like aspiring for something, like they have an aspiration. It's like I want to become a coach one day, but it's so much work and I'm not even good at basketball. Just start. You're bad at what you're trying to achieve, but you get better by doing it. So just do it now. The sooner you do it, the sooner you'll get better. So if you want to read the Bible, just open the page, Genesis 1, find a study plan, find a study group, whatever works for you. Have a good day.